Hi, this is Brett Ingram, entrepreneur and award-winning product creator, and today I want to share with you the super effective, but not glamorous, way to multiply your leads and sales. So whether we love details and number crunching in our business or not, and for some people, they're super analytical, they love that kind of stuff. Other people want to focus more on the creative side of things and not really be bogged down with all that. The fact is, there's one thing that as entrepreneurs and business owners, we should all be doing all the time, with really all of our offers and a number of other things in our business as well. It takes only minutes to do it, and once you have it set up, it actually runs set and forget simple. So it makes sense that we would want to do this, right? I mean, it's something that can multiply your leads and sales by 2 times, 3 times, even 5 times or more, depending on how effective it is. And what it is split testing, or sometimes it's called A/B testing. Now, if you've heard of it or you're thinking, oh, no, not another thing about testing or analytics or anything like that, it's okay. Super important because in most cases, it's actually really simple to set up. And once we start to get results, the key to this is that the increase in the leads and sales are virtually permanent and ongoing for the future. So think about that for a second. If you could set something up and it could optimize the way that you're doing your lead generation, it can optimize the way you're doing your sales generation. So you have a system where for every lead that comes in, for every traffic or every visitor that hits your website, a higher percentage of those people are converting, are becoming leads, are becoming sales, and they're doing that forever from this one point in time where you made that optimization. Isn't it worth it? I mean, on 100 leads, let's just say there's 100 visitors to your website. And right now, let's just say 5 of them are actually becoming leads. 5 of them are clicking the link or entering their email or whatever, or 5 of them are making a purchase. Basically, if you were able to even increase that number by 2 or 3 to 7 or 8, look at the amount of difference that would make for you. Over the course of, for every single 100 leads, or every single 100 visitors, you'd be getting 3 additional leads. So for every 1,000, you'd be getting 30. For every 10,000, you'd be getting 300. Or that could be sales. If those were sales coming in, those can actually be sales as well. And the thing of it is, it's a very low cost option to be able to set it up. It's actually pretty simple. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once we get it going, it's super powerful. So it's well worth it to spend a little bit of time and effort to be able to benefit for that forever. So I actually run a number of different software products that I've created over the years. And in every single one of them, when I go to launch it, one of the things that I do, because I use a launch model where a lot of people are going to promote over a short period of time. So it's really important for me to understand what is actually working. And because I know it's not going to be a gradual influx of traffic, I want to make sure it's optimized right out of the gate. So I always run a split test right from the start. And I have 2 case studies in particular. And actually, I've done this with a lot, and I have some more that are even better. But I don't still have the stats current on hand. So basically, I did this first case study, and I want you to guess if you can see which headline actually outproduced the other. So in this particular case, what I did is I only split tested the headline. So everything else on the page was left exactly the same. The price, the offer, the sales copy, the colors, everything else, all I changed literally was the text in the headline. So the first headline, and this was for basically like an e-learning course where it allows you to create your own e-learning courses using this video software. And so one of the headlines was create and sell amazing video courses in minutes without creating any content or speaking a single word. Okay, that was the first headline. The second headline is the world's first video course creator studio and marketing system. Any idea which headline you think outperformed the other? Well, sometimes when we put in 2 headlines or 2 versions of something, we have our own hunch about what we think is going to work best. And I have to be honest, I'm wrong at least 50% of the time, sometimes more. So that's the reason I always test. I've been in the industry a long time. I've done a lot of different offers, and I can tell you that it's still very difficult to predict what people are going to react to. The first headline that I read is the one that did 25% higher conversions. So these aren't leads. These aren't people clicking on the page and then signing up for, for a trial or for, information or giving their email address for a free gift. These are buyers. So 25% more conversions. So basically, on 100 different, visitors to the page, if the one of them got, say, 10 sales, the other one got 12 and a half, right? So 25% higher conversions just by making that one change in a headline. So that shows you how powerful that can be. And when you think about that, and then you think that that offer goes evergreen, and it stays on with that same headline over and over again, it's doing 25% not just today, not just once, but day after day after day, week after week, month after month, forever. So that's the superpower element of this. Okay, so let's try another one. So this other one that I created is basically a video software. And what the video software does is it allows you to create and edit videos, but it allows you to add all these special effects and make sort of cool videos that are a little bit different than sort of the standard run-of-the-mill videos. So the first headline I used there was create and sell amazing videos and stunning 3D video mock-ups in minutes. Okay, so that was the first headline. The second headline is create and sell amazing videos and stunning 3D video mock-ups and even start your own video production agency in minutes with the world's #1 video and 3D mock-up maker. Okay, so any idea which one did better there? Now the funny thing is the second headline is a mouthful, right? It's really, really long. And so you might think on the front of a sales page, it really wouldn't produce better. It was 66% higher. Number 2 was 66% higher. So almost double the results from that particular headline. And I have some that have actually done 2 times, 3 times, or even more in terms of results. So that we're well over 100%. But these were 2 examples where I still have the stats handy. And so it shows you the power of literally 7 or 8 words made that much of a difference, and made that much of a difference that day that I did the testing and forever, going forward. So it's a super powerful method to increase your sales and leads, even if it isn't glamorous. And so the lesson, or the thing that I hope that you take from that, is that it's worth it. It's worth spending a half an hour to set this up. It's worth spending a few minutes to understand how split testing works and to test a couple of versions against each other. And you can test more than headlines. So how exactly, if you decided that you wanted to be able to do split testing, would you be able to do it? And what is the right process for this? What are the do's and don'ts, so to speak? Well, first off, let me just share with you that those are my 2 examples. But I actually know people in my industry. I know people that I've spoken with that have used this. And I know people that have changed things like the color of the order button or the size of the order button. That's it. And gotten 25% higher conversions. So again, we're not even talking about any of the content on the page. We're just talking about the button, the size of the button at the bottom. I know people that have changed the colors. They've left everything else the same, but they've changed the color scheme or the background color from one to another and doubled their conversions. So there's all of these different things, the images, the videos, various different elements, and it's surprising to know sometimes that these things would work. I've had headlines where I've tested 2 or 3, or elements where I've tested 2 or 3, and one of them I almost put in as a joke because I thought there's no way that this is going to produce, and it actually turned out to be the best producing headline or the best producing element. And so again, I just want to emphasize the fact that it's very hard to predict, and if we let our egos get in the way and say, you know what, numbers, forget you, like I know better because I've been doing this. Oftentimes it's a big mistake. And I've seen that from people, that have done far more than I've ever done, and they've still agree that that's exactly the case. You have to actually test to know and not assume. So other people's stories are even more powerful. They've done it even more and on a larger scale. And I can tell you major corporations do this. So you can Google these case studies online for split testing, and there are companies that run, millions and millions of dollars in an ad budget, and they increase their conversions by 25%, 20%, 30%. And they have professionals doing every element of what they're doing, and even still, by testing, they're able to do that. So let's talk about the right way to do this and understand what's really important. So the first rule of thumb, and this is the golden rule when it comes to split testing, we only split test one element at a time. There's a tendency, there's this desire to think, well, geez, if I change the price, I change the headline, and I change the colors, now I'm really going to see like these two comparisons. You are. The problem is you don't know what is contributing to the increase or the decrease in the conversions and in the results. And so that's where it becomes difficult. When you test one element at a time, you keep everything else the same, there is no question what made the difference, because only that one element was changed. So it takes longer to test multiple elements this way, but it's a much smarter way to do it. Now, I'm not going to get into this, but if you have a very sophisticated marketing setup and you have a large marketing budget, then you can use what's called multivariate testing, where it will piece together various different elements in different combinations, and it will tell you what's best. But that only works if you're actually, first of all, it's more sophisticated software, so you're going to spend more to set it up. But the other issue is, if you aren't getting a tremendous amount of traffic, then it really isn't necessary. So that's only if you're really driving a lot of traffic to your offers, then you might want to use multivariate right out of the gate, because you could test a lot faster. It could test a lot of different combinations, and it could tell you in various level of confidence what worked the best. For most of us, what we're going to do is a split test of one thing at a time, A, B, right? A versus B, everything else stays the same. We see what our results are, and then we're able to move forward. So that's the first rule, is we always test one element at a time. The second rule is sample size. So there's a tendency, and I've fallen into this my trap myself, to see a few results and then jump to a conclusion. So you get 20 clicks on a link, and one of them makes 2 sales and the other one makes 0. So you assume instantly this one is the winner, that's the one that I'm going with, forget this other one, kill it. What you didn't realize is that all those people were still reading the sales letter or whatever else. 20 minutes later, they all buy, and you made 4 sales over there. I've literally had this happen to me multiple times. Thankfully, I didn't stop the testing. But the first one out of the gate that actually looked like it was going to win ended up losing. And it's only because I kept it running. So you need a large enough sample size. You need to be patient enough that you're able to let it play out until you get enough clicks, you get enough trials, you get enough hits, so you're able to identify what one is really working. Now, some software that you can use for this will do a statistical analysis, and they will tell you in statistical terms a confidence level of how sure they are one is right. But if you're just using a simple A/B and you have to do it with your own eyeballs and your own brain to figure out what one is better or worse, the general rule of thumb is you want there to be at least like 100 clicks on each to get a real good sense. If you don't have that much traffic and you're only getting 10 or 15 clicks, it's very hard to know. You can make an assumption on that, but it isn't going to be statistically accurate probably. So you might be right, but you still might be wrong. So we want to make sure that we get a large enough sample size. The next thing about it is that it's very important to be unemotional. Again, it's very easy to make snap judgments on these things and to get super excited when we start to see a little bit of results, because we say, well, geez, this one is doing really well. That's the one that I'm going to go with. And then what ends up happening is we pull the trigger too quickly, and then we find out that one, or maybe we never find out, that we left all this other money or leads on the table because we pulled the plug too quickly, right? So we want to make sure that we are unemotional about it. So let's talk about a little bit of some of the common mistakes that people make. And I've made these myself, and I've seen other people make these too. And one of them, as I alluded to already, is testing multiple things at once. As soon as you sort of get the idea, and I had this same experience, by the way, with outsourcing. When I started to outsource, it almost became addictive because I was like, wow, this is great. Like you could just give this away to people. So I brought in too many people too fast. I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't able to train them. And I ended up just wasting time and money because I couldn't keep them all productive, right? I got excited about the idea of it once I actually took the plunge and did it. Well, split testing can have the same kind of effect. We can get really excited about it because we see, wow, if we change this one thing and look at the results we got now, what if we change these 3 or 4 things? So testing multiple things at once is one of the common mistakes that people make, and it just is not going to give you the results you're looking for. Another one is not being patient enough for results. Again, it's about making sure that the sample size is large enough that we can tell with confidence that the results we're getting make sense. Now, it's important to know also that when we're talking about split testing, we aren't just talking about web pages. That's the easiest example, and that's the easiest thing to test. Because basically what you're doing is you're putting up a web page, you have software running in the background, and it's doing all the work. But you may have a phone closing system where you close customers on the phone, or you get calls. You may have in-person salespeople, or you might be closing deals yourself in person. And so for these types of situations, you also can and should split test. The issue here is you may need to use more of a manual approach in order to do this. So when I had my computer configuration, hardware, and PC business, one of the things that we did was we advertised in magazines. And we had an online order entry system, but we didn't have online ordering. So all of our orders were taken by phone. And so when the people would call in, what we had the team do is ask, can I ask you where you saw our ad or where you heard about us? And so we had options in the order entry blank for referred by a friend, saw you in the back of each of the places we advertised. We had each of those listed. So that way we could link back all the sales we made to the various advertising and promotional methods we were using. Well, split testing is exactly the same thing. If you're trying 2 different approaches, where on one of them you say, hey, so how do you feel about the dealio? And on the other one you say, so are you ready to sign the contract? What you want to do is track the number of times you say each, use the same approach multiple times, and then get results based on that. And especially if you have a team, if you have them all doing it and you're tracking it, you're going to really quickly narrow down what works the best. When I was in insurance, one of the things that we had was we had a 4-page, single-spaced, 12-point font script to memorize. And that script, while I never saw the sort of sausage-making process that went into it, I guarantee you, and I know for beyond the shadow of a doubt, that was split tested over and over and over again because they had thousands of agents across the country all using the same thing. They aren't going to just take a chance. And based on how well it worked, because it converted really, really well, I know it was something that they optimized. That script was worth its weight in gold to that company. That was like Coca-Cola's secret formula, right? You lock that baby in the safe because that was something that would work over and over and over again, but it was something that they definitely split tested in the field. They tried different approaches. And when they got the objections from people and the conversion rates, they looked at it and they said, okay, and then they added to the script different things that would overcome those objections as well. So they were split testing to figure out what worked the best. So you can manually track that stuff and then you can adjust. For online, it's really, really simple because there are a ton of tools out there. If you just search for split testing, A/B testing, anything like that, you will find lots of automated tools. Some of them are real simple and they just put in sort of a way that it will alternate various elements it puts in. Other ones are more sophisticated. They have things called heat maps where it will actually show you when people hit your page where they spend the most time. When you look at the heat map, it looks like a UV index where it's like red and green, and so wherever they spent the most time is all dark red, wherever they spent the least time, and it's where they scroll the mouse, how far down the page they go, and it can show you. So you can see what elements of your pages are engaging and what ones are being skipped. And so again, those are all cool tools that you can use to be able to figure out what's working the best. They're fast and easy to set up. The online software stuff you can get going in probably about a half an hour. And they're not usually too expensive to get started. If you have a massive like traffic source, it might cost you more, but you're probably making more anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So the next question would be then, what things should we actually split test? What elements? Well, obviously, if we have a website, I mean, you definitely need to be testing your website, even if it's a corporate site. You want to see where people are going, what they're clicking on, and what pages are getting the most traction and views. Ads, any kind of ads you're running, a lot of the built-in marketplaces like Facebook or whatever else already have a split testing mechanism built in. You just load in your multiple ads, it will rotate them, and it will tell you what works the best. You absolutely want to split test ads. Emails, you want to split test your headlines, and you want to split test your body copy in emails, especially promotional emails that you're sending out. Your approaches, so if you're doing in-person or on the phone sort of outreach or whatever, those are all things that you want to be testing different things and seeing what close works the best. Pitches, so whatever the actual like pitch is that you're giving, so not just the warm-up and the approach, but also the pitch itself. You want to test that and you want to see what works the best. And then the offer itself. And the offer itself obviously is not just the price and the product, but it's also the guarantee, it's all the extras that come with it, it's the whole package put together. Whatever that offer is, you want to test that as well. And so, those are all the things that we want to test. And then the elements that we want to test within these are we want to test our headlines, we want to test our colors, we want to test photos and images, we want to test videos, calls to action, we want to test our page layouts, our prices, our offers, and our buttons. That's a lot of different things. So if you're doing them one by one, it can take time. But if it's an ongoing process and you just build it in, you bake it into what you currently do, it makes it a lot easier. The basic idea is any element that's involved in the sales process, if we can isolate it and test it versus other options, then we want to do that. And even if we see improvements, we want to test and then test again because we can make it even better. It should be part of an ongoing process. So the takeaway here is that split testing isn't the most glamorous topic in business, to be sure, but it flat out grows profits by making our sales process more efficient and effective. It takes a bit of time, effort, and learning curve to get it going the first time, but once it's up and running, it's easy and it's very low maintenance. And the benefit is ongoing, because if we can optimize our lead generation and sales process, we get better results now and long into the future.